So, this was a story I don't know if I heard about this again. I took a large news break, but this is a follow-up to a story that is a couple of weeks old. I may have missed it during my break. I don't know. But this is some insane stuff that we're talking about. Now, again, this is in the context of the United States of America. An autopsy cites neglect for man's death in a bed bug infested Georgia jail cell. Okay. Now, again, there's a lot going on here. So, autopsy, someone's dead. Someone was in a, quote, bedbug infested Georgia jail cell and died. Okay? Now, I'm thinking to myself, how did they die? Now, I'm just curious, right? Like, was it an unexpected medical incident, you know? Like all the other black people that die mysteriously in police custody, they just like, whoa, the fentanyl got me. Or was he eaten by the bedbugs? Like, we'll find out. So, a man who died in a bed-bug-infested cell in Georgia's jail psychiatric wing died due to severe neglect. Now, neglect is a phrase I would use, you know, when parents, sit their kid in front of the television for 6 hours. That's neglect, okay? Forcing someone at gunpoint, if you do not obey me, I will shoot and murder you, into a steel cage where you are hooking them up to some jigsaw type shit, that is not neglect. That is murder, okay? Like, do we forget what words are? Like, I'm just like, neglect? Like, what? That is murder, okay? If I take a gun, point it at your head, and say, get in the closet, or I will shoot and kill you, you will die if you don't do what I say. You get into the closet, whoops, the closet's made out of lava, you're dead now? That's not neglect. That is murder, okay? So words. I know a lot of people in the media especially, they don't know what words are. They never heard of them words. What the fuck are words, right? I don't know. Neglect is, again, your single parent sits you in front of the television for 15 hours every single day. That's neglect, okay? Pointing a gun at someone and saying, listen to me or die, and then you kill them anyway, that is not neglect. There's zero situations where neglect is a actual word that could be used here, okay? Now, again, I know this is legalese, right? Because the legal system exists in some fantasy world where, we can just say the words that don't actually mean what they mean in the English language. Yeah, we can't use murder here. We can't use killing because legally it's not sound. So we gotta say neglect because cops have qualified immunity and again, I know, but it's a fantasy world. Just ultimately, I need you all to understand law, the legal system is a fantasy world. It is one of the most outside of reality kind of situations that you can find yourself in, right? These people are insane. So I know, I get it. They're using the legal term neglect. It's still fucked up that we have to live in a world where lawyers they are forced, once again, at gunpoint. You might be wondering, what? Who's pointing guns at the lawyers? Imagine if the lawyers came out here and say, yeah, they murdered them. Well, yeah, then they're going to lose their case, right? So, again, you are forced by the system to use banal, tamped down language at all times so that people, they don't have such an emotion. Oh, it's not murder. No. It's neglect. Yeah. Anyway, let's get some of the information here. How was this person neglected exactly? Lashawn Thompson, 35, died in September. Again, died doing a lot of fucking work. Died? I'm just I don't know. I read books, right? I read books. I watch television. I play video games. I consume art. I have social conversations. I'm aware of the word kill, was killed, murdered, was tortured to death. Died? You know what I mean? Died, really? You know, like, you ever see the Saw movies? Because that's what this is. I need you really all to understand. This is a Saw film, okay? And I'm not even saying that as a joke, all right? You lock someone in a steel cage where they are slowly eaten by bugs, motherfucker. That is Jigsaw. But hey, it's actually worse than Saw. Because in Saw, the villain at least makes a puzzle out of it. If you solve the Rubik's Cube, you get out of the bug-infested fucking hell world. So, again, if anyone out here hasn't seen Saw, I apologize. For those of you that have seen Saw, these cops are worse than the mass murderer in the Jigsaw series of films. Now, I know I love making movie references here, but and we're going to use the word died. Like, I don't know, okay, if I tied someone up, pointed a gun at them, and said, I want you to drink Windex. They drink Windex, and then they get poisoned and die. Would I be like, they died. What are you gonna do? Black man died. Hey, cops custody, black man dead, hey. What are we gonna do? I don't know, man. Murdered, no. Murdered, killed, no, he just died. A medical incident. I don't know, maybe the bugs had fentanyl. Something. There was fentanyl. I don't know, he's black, so we'll just make something up. Because that's how our world treats these people. I need you to understand, this country does not view anybody as a human, right? But black people specifically are the, like, most targeted in these kind of, like, again, this fantasy legal system where you're allowed to just be murdered by the government. And they're not even gonna have they're not even gonna say, whoops, my bad. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's the fucking thing. Like, they're not even gonna say, oh, sorry, we murdered your friend. We murdered your husband. We murdered your dad, your son. Sorry. They're not even going to apologize, man. It's insane. Okay. Mr. Thompson was neglected to death. That's not true. He was murdered. Okay. Now, again, autopsy report. Written by a doctor, right? Now, what happens when you go to law school? What happens when you go to medical school? You are bashed in by the system. Words, they start meaning different things when you go to these 4-year, 8-year, 12-year colleges. You become less attached to humanity when you go to college for this long. I'm just saying, I'm just being honest with you as someone who was a high school dropout. People that get enrolled into these systems for so long, they get eaten alive by the system. This person was not neglected to death. They were fucking murdered. They had a gun pointed at their head and were told to jump into the fucking pool with the goddamn cement blocks tied around them. That is not neglected. That is murder. I don't know what the fucking world is that we're living in where that's fucking neglect. I'm sorry, man. I'm pissed off. Because, I don't know, as someone that cares about words, I care about words. I think words are important. I think we should be using words accurately. We should be using words in the words that we mean to say. We shouldn't be, like, again, look at the Salem fucking witch shit, right? They would tie cement around random women who just had their husband die of typhoid like fucking 3 years ago, and now they're like a widow, and like widows are scary, they gotta be witches. So they would tie like cement around them and throw them in a fucking lake, right? And then they'd say, well, if they're a witch, they'll come out, they'll be alive. And if they're not a witch, well, you know, whatever, they're gonna die. That's not neglect! That's murder! It is murder! Again, I need you, I know, I've said this 38,000 times. This person had a gun pointed at them. If they refused to do what the people with the gun said, they would be shot and killed. I need you to really fucking understand this. Someone has a gun pointed at you, says, I will fucking kill you unless you do everything I say. They bring you to a location, put you into a torture device, and the torture device kills you. That is, I know, I'm triggered right now. It is not neglect. Neglect is not even remotely in the same category, okay? Neglect, like, if you were to have a Venn diagram here, neglect would be outside both circles. At a third circle, neglect would be nowhere near it because it's not an accurate fucking word to use here. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway. The independent autopsy report lists the cause of death as complications due to severe neglect. Again, Bullshit. It was murder. With untreated, decompensated schizophrenia identified as a contributing cause. What the fuck? You know, just language. Language matters. This idea... Now, I know. I'm not saying here that this doctor is necessarily... I know, because we live in a world where the medical system has a different version of the English language. The legal system has another different version of the English language. And we, actual regular people that speak English, are left going, huh? Right? But again, when you die with untreated decompensated schizophrenia, the language, what it's doing, is putting the onus on the person with schizophrenia. They died because they had schizophrenia. That is not the case. That is not the case. I'm sorry. That's not... Now, again, was their schizophrenia a contributing factor in how they were murdered? Absolutely. But they did not die of schizophrenia. That did not kill them. They died because they were forced at gunpoint into a torture device and then were tortured to death. Schizophrenia, no schizophrenia, it's irrelevant. Now again, it's relevant in the sense that, yeah, it's even more fucked up that they could have treated his problems, but instead they decided to torture him to death for entertainment. Yes, but the idea that you would put that in the now again, I know I'm not saying the doctor is necessarily saying it's the guy's fault, but what I'm saying is just the way that language shapes how people, you know, like how people interpret these things. Because I'm, you know, people that don't watch my show, they don't read these articles, and if they do, they skim it, right? And the language seeps into their brain, right? That's how you see people that, like, seriously, they will actually argue that George Floyd died of a medical incident or whatever because they're fucking stupid and they don't know what fucking words mean, okay? Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, a complication of dehydration, rapid weight loss, and malnutrition complicated by untreated decompensated schizophrenia led to a fatal cardiac arrhythmia. The report says because he did not receive necessary medical care or adequate food, water, and shelter. His manner of death is homicide. Thank you very much. I know, right? How many paragraphs? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, 5 paragraphs in, we're finally going to use the fucking H word. Jesus, you can't put this in the fucking headline? Homicide! All caps, colon, on autopsy cites neglect for man's death, blah, blah, blah. Literally, it's homicide, murder. What is homicide? You intentionally killed another human being. Fuck. Like 5 paragraphs in, fuck. Finally, we get to use actual fucking words. Jesus fucking Christ, okay? My God. An earlier report from the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office found no obvious signs of trauma on Thompson's body, but noted a severe bedbug infestation. It lists his cause of death as undetermined. Don't worry, everyone. Don't worry. The guys with guns investigated themselves. I know y'all are fucking like, whoa, what's going on here? Holy shit, we need to get... Don't worry, everyone calm the fuck down. The gangsters investigated the gangsters. It's all good. You're up here hollering and yelling and making a fuss. But what you don't understand is that these guys with guns who murdered someone investigated themselves and they decided, well, we don't know. I mean, really, come on now. Like, we're really going to bring lawyers into this? I mean, come on, right? Like, we're going to bring the medical system and the legal system? Yo, we don't know what's going on. We already investigated it, bro. Come on, man. The new autopsy confirms that this is one of the most deplorable in-custody deaths in the history of America, said prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who represents the family. The family's lawyers and advocates gave credit to Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labott, who has publicly called Thompson's death absolutely unconscionable. Now, this is the other thing. This is why I fucking hate lawyers. I fucking hate lawyers, man. Now, you know, I know there's a lot of lawyers that may watch my show. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the legal system. Under I'm talking about zero. Not one, not like maybe a couple times in a lifetime, not on the bucket list, maybe once a year. No, I'm talking about 0. You never, ever gotta give credit to the fucking sheriff. Like, I'm sorry. No, you do not, in fact, gotta hand it to him. I'm sorry. No, you don't. The sheriff, who, by the way, also responsible for this murder, is like, well, I think they really tortured that guy and a little bit. It made me uncomfortable. Wow, bravo, sheriff. Bravo. Bravo, sheriff. Labatt, who took office in 21 and has long advocated for a new jail, has said Thompson's death shows that the current jail cannot provide safe and humane detention. How about this? Not any jail could provide safe and humane detention. That's not what jails do. Jails are torture facilities. That's what they are. There is no single possible way that you can make an argument that a jail or a prison is anything but a torture device. That is it. The entire point of prisons and jails is the exact opposite of safe and humane detention. That is why they shove people in concrete cubes so that they drive them insane for weeks and weeks on end. And then they say, well, they're insane. Sorry, we got to extend their sentence. Again, I need you to understand, if you are a lawyer and your client's brother, mother, or father, whatever, was murdered in a jail cell, under no circumstance do you have to say, you know what, who deserves some credit? The sheriff. Some credit? And also, can we talk about what the fuck is credit? Like, what is this phrase, gave credit? Like, yeah, you see this a lot, right? In media. Oh, well, I got it. I say it too sometimes. You got it. Oh, well, you know, I got to give him credit for that. Credit? What credit? What are we in fucking third grade? You're giving this guy credit? What is the credit for? What does he use the credits for? What? You're giving him credit for doing nothing? And it's also like, you get credit for being a sheriff who's like, well, I think we need more jails. Because what is the sheriff saying? We need more jails. He's long advocated for a new jail. So the sheriff is like, we need new jails. The lawyer of the people, you know, whose family member was murdered by these jails are like, bravo, good sir. You get credit. You get credit. Now, I'm just saying, this is my personal opinion. I'm not trying to call, you know, the legal team for this family bad. I'm just saying the legal system, the way we have to, the way people feel compelled to. I wouldn't say we have to. No one has to do anything. But the way people feel compelled to say this kind of shit is insane to me. If I hired a lawyer to investigate my dead father, my dead brother's, you know, murder in custody, and this lawyer gave credit to the sheriff, I would immediately fire that lawyer, and I would make a huge press conference about how this lawyer is a piece of shit. That's just me, though. That's just me, okay? That's my opinion. I'm not in this situation at this current moment in time. That is my opinion. The fuck is credit? Why would anyone ever feel the need to say this, man? Like, it's insane. It's insane. He said in a statement Monday that he hadn't had a chance to fully review the independent autopsy report, that even before it was issued, it was painfully clear there were a number of failures that led to Mr. Thompson's tragic death. Now, again, this is the guy who got credit from the legal team. He got credit, right? I know. Everyone calm down. They got credit, okay? Bear with me. Painfully clear there were a number of failures? Now, language. Why would the sheriff say that there were a number of failures, and what are those failures? Was the failure someone going to police academy? Was the failure giving these people guns? Was the failure building the jail? Like, what were the failures? There were painfully clear. It's so painful. We just need to know that the sheriff is in mourning. The sheriff is really torn up inside at the idea of a dead black man in Georgia. The sheriff is so concerned, right? But what are the failures? Like, you can't just list them out? You can't list them out? You just say, oh yeah, there's a number of failures. A number. I know, man. I know. I'm already giving this way too much. A number. Yo, I can't. There were a number of failures. Could be 20. Could be 2. Could be 69. There were a number Solve for X, everybody. There was a number. Fuck, but hey, don't worry. He got credit, so it's all good. He said he had already held executive staff responsible by asking for and receiving the resignations of 3 top staffers. Staffers? Staffers? What about the cops? What about the people that put them in the jail cell? Who are the staffers? Right? Who the fuck are staffers? Or like staffers is like Betsy in the back room who's like punching the paperwork holes through and get them in the binders, you know? Those are staffers. What about the fucking deputies who dragged this guy to a jail cell and fucking ignored him for days on end? But don't worry, everybody. The lawyers gave this guy credit. I remain committed to making sure the Thompson family receives the answers they need and deserve about the unconscionable circumstances surrounding Mr. Thompson's death. And yet, the previous statement, a number. You know, we need transparency, and that's why I'm out here to say, solve for X, motherfuckers. I'm not telling you shit. Well, don't worry. The family gave him credit. It's all good. You can read more of this, if you want the gruesome details. I'm sure there's pictures as well you could look up, but man, oh man, like, just to be very clear with my positions, in summary, I hate America. I hate cops. Every single one of them, in my opinion, deserves a death penalty just for being a cop. You go to police academy, you graduate, that's fine. You become a cop, death penalty. That's my opinion. I hate cops. I hate the legal system. Now, again, not all lawyers. There's some great lawyers. Public defenders are great. I hate the legal system. And I just hate the media, man. Like, what the fuck? Like, are we going to use the word murder once? Are we going to use the word homicide more than once? Like, I mean, seriously, man. Fuck me. Shit's insane.